Military options have to be on the table. That's what makes diplomacy effective, and that's what the last administration just couldn't figure out. You know, it's kind of like a football coach that took the pass off the table and just told the world we're going to run. That's essentially what President Obama did. You know, what would it look like? It would look like a series of stealth bomber attacks to take down the air defenses, followed by our more conventional fighters going after the nuclear sites, both the missile sites and his weapon storage facilities. But, Pete, I can't overstate that we probably could not get all of them. At this point, he's been digging these things in for years, and the response that the North Koreans would have in terms of rocketing and putting artillery down on Seoul will cause thousands of South Korean and American casualties. So a preemptive strike, while may be necessary, because not doing so is just going to allow his program to progress even further. You know, we have to have everything else on the table exhausted first, and first and foremost is holding the Chinese responsible.
And the Chinese could have a role in my next question as well. Is regime change possibly peacefully or violently or non-violently through pressure from China or some sort of a covert action on our behalf?
Well, you know, look, I want to see covert, I want to see cyber, and what I really want to see is really turning the screws to the Chinese economically. You know, I think we could convene an international coalition that is going to put secondary sanctions in place against Chinese firms doing business with North Korea. That's what we did against Iran, and that's what brought them to the table. I think there's a lot more we could do on the economic side. China could crush North Korea economically if it wanted to, and I think the Chinese government maintains relationships throughout the North Korean army, and if they wanted to put their own person in place, that's something we should explore.
So, I mean, sanctions have been tried since 1994, and even before that inside North Korea to try to bring them to their knees. They have not worked. It's brought us to this point. You're saying we haven't used the most effective ones yet, and we still could turn those screws.
That's right. Yeah, there's this notion that sanctions have been tried and they failed. Sanctions have been put in place, but the Chinese have not enforced them. I mean, sanctions enforcement, including the ones that Nikki Haley just successfully put in place last week, have to be enforced, and that falls squarely on China. We have to hold China responsible, and China could enforce those tomorrow should it so choose. So I think we need the shock and awe of President Trump's rhetoric to change the Chinese calculus that their buffer state is actually going to hurt them more than help them.
Briefly, if we don't do anything now, if they continue to maintain the capabilities of an ICBM with the nuclear capabilities on it, what is are we looking at perpetual nuclear blackmail for the foreseeable future? I mean, what's at stake here?
There's a lot of people that are just saying, you know, including former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, saying that we just have to settle for a nuclear East Asia. And that means the Japanese are likely to get their own arsenal. The South Koreans could get their arsenal. That's not something I'm prepared to live with. And the other piece here is the North Koreans will only get more sophisticated. Their missiles will get more mobile, so that means they can hide them easier.
Submarines?
They're going to go, they could possibly go to submarines. They're going to go very quickly from liquid fuel to solid fuel, which means they can launch them faster. And we could see more sophisticated ICBMs with decoys around the warheads and a 3-stage that could reach anywhere in the United States. So the stakes are high to stop this program right now. But I think we have to do everything before military action.